Alright guys, hey, what's up? It's Sunday afternoon. Just got done with church. I say just, but we've been out for a little bit. I'm heading back over to Grace Community Church where we go to drop off some stuff for my daughter. She's hanging out with one of her friends this afternoon. But one thing that I want to talk to you guys about today, find a good church. And what I mean by that is don't find a church that has rules and traditions and all other kinds of man-made stuff that just matches you. Find a church that unapologetically preaches and teaches the Bible in love. And this is something that I wish that I knew a long time ago. I feel like my version of Christianity that I lived out for a long time really pushed a lot of people away from me. And that was almost like, not applauded, but like promoted, that, you know, the Bible separates and Jesus came to, you know, make a dividing line and all these things. And that is true, but like, there's so much scripture that I grew up being taught that was taken out of context to make validity to a lot of rules and things that were being taught. And I'm not saying that everything I was ever taught was wrong. But what I am saying is it's wrong to teach something that is man-made and say that it's Bible. And maybe at some point in time I'll do a series. I've been considering and praying about it for a long time, called Out of Context. And I'll go through and I'll teach some of those things. But what I've found is when I have followed and obeyed like man-made rules, it pushed people out of my life that I don't think I should have been pushing out of my life. Like, I was just texting a buddy of mine that, you know, I purposefully distanced myself from in my mid-20s because like he wasn't living how I thought he should live. And I have, you know, family that I know I have pushed away from me because of because of what I thought the calling of a Christian was. And to those of you that you might know who you are, you know, I've apologized to them in person, via text, over the phone. But this is for everyone else that might have that same situation as me, to where you thought you had to make a divide because your family didn't align, or your family or friends didn't align with the church that you went to. And there are some, you know, lines that you have to make as a father for your family. But the lines of separation should not be what define your family. Like, the more I'm learning that I need to have a safe place for my home, I need to have a safe place and be able to teach my kids and love and protect my wife. But as long as I'm doing what God is telling me to do and I'm following Him, the biggest separation that needs to happen is for a husband and a wife to be able to do what they believe is best for their family. And it's not my business to tell everybody else what they should and shouldn't do for their family. I don't have to agree with them to be kind. And I don't have to agree with them to be able to get together and have our kids play. like last time I checked, Jesus didn't only hang out with the religious crowd. Quite the contrary, he distanced himself from the religious crowd. Like I was just reading today and yesterday in John 8, where he's talking to the woman caught in adultery, and then the next portion of scripture he heals the blind man. And the whole religious crowd got mad because he did that on the Sabbath. And the religious crowd hunted down this young man and his family. And the Bible actually says when the rulers, or I might say Pharisees, or whatever the word is for them, whoever it was the leaders in the temple, they found the mom and dad and they said, "What happened?" And the Bible literally says, because they were afraid of that religious crowd, they didn't want to give him an answer. And they said, "Go talk to our son, he's of age." And I was like, man, the mom and the dad were so afraid of the religiosity that, and get this, even after their son was healed of blindness, a full-blown miracle, their son was able to see. I'm looking around, there's trees, palm trees, grass, I'm seeing cars, there's a swanky Cadillac CTS, nice red Cadillac driving, he never saw anything. And their joy for his healing and his growth was stripped away because of the religious crowd. And that's so messed up. They couldn't be excited for their son who could see for the first time because they didn't check the box of the religious crowd. And that's so messed. That is not what God, Jesus, the Son of God, healed this guy unapologetically, worked a miracle, changed his life for the better, delivered this guy from a life of bondage to not being able to see, and his own flesh and blood family couldn't be happy for him because it was done on the Sabbath day. And the more that I dig into what Scripture actually says, the more I distance myself from man-made theology. And I want to encourage you, if you go to a church that cannot take Scripture in context and explain why you're doing what you're doing, run as far away as you can from that church. Not to the world, not to things that replace God, but find somewhere that teaches and preaches the entirety of the Bible in love. The person next to me didn't turn the light turning green and they're getting all honked at. The people weren't using a whole bunch of love there. I hope that makes sense. And I know there's probably going to be some people watching this that he's going liberal and he's leaving the old paths and all this stuff. And you're welcome to think that. I know whom I have believed and whom I'm persuaded. And my God is able to deliver me through whatever I'm going through. And He has called me to be the husband and the daddy of my home. And if you're a man out here that's listening and you have a wife and kids, you have a God-given position that is coveted and loved and respected by God. Excuse me, I shouldn't say coveted by God, but it is a special position that has been ordained by God for you to love your wife, love your kids, and lead them. And whatever that first step looks like for you, take that step. If it's just going and giving your wife a hug right now, if it's asking for forgiveness, like whatever it is, leading with humility, leading with kindness, and leading with love will never, ever, ever lead you astray. And then let me circle back around to distancing yourself from people. I'm not condoning, going out with your drinking buddies and connecting that way. I do believe that drunkenness is wrong, and the Bible clearly spells out drunkenness as a sin. I do believe that certain activities and certain lifestyles, the Bible clearly separates and calls that sin. But the Bible does not tell us that we should not ever be around or talk to or associate with people who struggle with that. You look at all the ones that Jesus talked to. In particular, John 8, the woman who was caught in adultery. Jesus was scolded by the religious crowd because he was a friend of sinners. That he went and he befriended people who didn't fit the model of church. And the reason he did that is because they need reached. They don't need put into this box and packaged in a Christian handbag in this cultural version of church that we call separation and sanctification and all these things. There is a spot for separation and sanctification, but it has been used and abused for far too long. And I know today has kind of been very, very sporadic. I just have a lot of thoughts flying through my head. But I'll go back to the very first thing I said. Find a good church that teaches and preaches in context. And if they won't show you and explain to you the context, you have a problem. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I would love to FaceTime you sometime, or we can connect over Zoom. And I can show you what the scripture says as far as all these things. But I hope that was helpful. I know it might upset some people I know, but that's okay. I know that God has called me to do what I'm going to do and to lead how I'm going to lead. And by the grace of God, I will be able to fill His calling on my life the way that He wants me to do it. And if I do that in kindness and in love and with mercy and grace, that is the exact picture that Christ gave to us to live our lives. So if you need help finding a church, comment. I love helping people. The two things I do in life, I help people ministry-wise, and I help people financially. And it's such a gratifying ability I have to be able to connect with people and give good, sound advice, not claiming to have all the answers in the world, but I do have the resources to get all of the answers in the world. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great day. I'm gonna go drop this bag off for my daughter so she can go hang out with her friend, and we'll catch you tomorrow.